At the online battle for hearts and minds. Many of you are already weighing in.
Media.
But I think we need to be really careful and watch out for propaganda as well as the deliberate spread of false information.
Blogger Anousheh Hossein is here looking out for all of your live feedback. You can follow her on Anousheh's Point blog online. Anousheh, the conversation around Gaza is fierce. What's catching your eye?
Yes, Josh, no doubt. Twitter has become a battleground. The Israeli army spokesperson tweeted this image. Have a look on my screen. This is how Hamas sees Israel. Many of you are tweeting about this topic, and we want to hear from you. So tweet us with the hashtag AJStream.
Joining us at the table is Omar Bedard, the new media manager at Arab American Institute. Thanks for being here, Omar.
Thank you very much for having me.
There are many hashtags around the situation in Gaza. Here are a few that we're following. As fears of a ground war in Gaza escalate, the online battle between Israel and Hamas is heated. Take a look at this. Israel supporters are using the hashtag #PrayForIsrael, while those concerned about the plight of Palestinians in Gaza are tweeting with the hashtag Gaza under attack. On Wednesday, when Israel launched its attack, the Israeli army tweeted this, which has sparked a lot of controversy. We recommend that no Hamas operatives, whether low-level or senior leaders, show their faces above ground in the days ahead. They followed it up with this image of Ahmed Jabari, the military leader of Hamas, and the word eliminated. Hamas countered with this tweet, "Our blessed hands will reach your leaders and soldiers wherever they are. You open the gates of hells on yourself." In addition to the tough talk online, social media is also getting the story out, which makes sense since the electricity in Gaza has been unreliable. Omar, what do you think about what Avi said in terms of it seems that Hamas has been propagandizing on social media?
I mean, again, propaganda is used by everyone, and the idea that Israel has been any more honest in the use of social media in the past or currently, I think, is belied by a very well-documented history. Groups like Camera and Honest Reporting have been documented thoroughly to have made claims that turned out to be completely false. Again, I don't think that that's where the focus ought to be. It's not about which side is using propaganda more, effectively. In this case, whatever you think of Hamas, and I certainly am not a fan myself, they were elected by the population. And the party that is actually holding Gaza hostage right now is Israel. It has continued the occupation of Gaza despite pulling out the settlements, continues to keep the area under military control, continues with regular military incursions into the Gaza Strip and carrying out assassinations, blocking it by sea, and so on. That's really the core of the problem, is that we can go into this tit for tat about who fired this rocket when and who shot this bullet when. But ultimately, I think fundamentally what is going to be required to solve this issue is a full resolution to the conflict, which entails first and foremost ending the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories, because that is the number one factor that lets this conflict carry on and the violence continue.
When you look at Twitter and propaganda, they always say that the first victim in war is the truth. And it just seems like with social media, that victim just comes that much faster, right? It's made it quicker. Exactly. What's happening with our... He's on our website as well, so you can check him out later. Rana, I know you've been tweeting the whole time. What are you trying to keep people informed about?
Yeah, I would like just to add a comment to what Avi had to say. And it is very interesting that he was talking about the killing of Israeli civilians, because since yesterday, only 3 Israelis were killed, while in Palestine, in Gaza, we have about 15 civilians who have been killed since yesterday. We have more than 100 injured in the Shifa hospital right now. So it is really, really interesting that he's talking about the killings of civilians, while he is totally ignoring the fact that the people of Gaza have been killed since yesterday. We have also, I mean, if you want an evidence, of course I can give you one. Yesterday we had Rinan Arafat, who was murdered. She's 7 years old. We had also an infant, an 11-month infant, who was killed yesterday. So I think that the list goes on, and if I want to just keep talking about names and mentioning names, it will be endless. This is the thing that I wanted Avi to look into.
Our online community, are we getting false impressions from social media?
There's no question that there's no balance and capability, and we can see it in the actual casualties and damage that we're seeing right now. I mean, it's one thing to say, for Avi to say, I think, and I agree with him, that we need to end this crisis, and the right thing to do is to stop the violence and stop the firing of rockets. But Israel's military escalation is not the way to actually scale back those rockets. This is a way to further escalate it. We know that, the chronology does matter. I think in American media, there is this reflexive adoption of Israel's narrative that this is Hamas firing rockets and Israel being forced to respond, when actually looking further into the details of this, you see that a couple of days before the fire rocket, that there had been multiple Palestinians killed, and it's completely arbitrary to pick the firing of rockets as the starting point. On just the other point that he mentioned about the targeting of civilians, he said Hamas targets indiscriminately, fires at civilians, and Israel doesn't. And frankly, they actually both do. The difference is Hamas is open about what it does, and Israel is more savvy.
I want to get a
using
quick
that
sense of you.
propaganda
We're coming to the end of the show. Will social media make a difference in this conflict, and if so, how?
I think it is already making a difference in that people actually now can, again, I don't think you see it just in this conflict, but generally speaking, the fact that everybody has the capacity to fact check everything that is happening and get much more dispersed access to information from people who are actually on the ground is making it more and more difficult for governments to use their
Ahmed and Harry will continue to follow this story online at stream.aljazeera.com. You can get on the discussion by tweeting us at hashtag Ahmed and Harry will continue to follow this story online at stream.aljazeera.com. You can get on the discussion by tweeting us at hashtag